Hey everyone, Pocket Moggers here. We're going to talk about the Nidoran female line today. The first purely female line in the Pokedex. And while I don't think it's quite as good as its male counterpart, Nidoran and its line should not be underestimated in any way. Let's get started, shall we? Nidoran, female here, is the first Pokemon to display gender and gender differences, as well as the first female Pokemon. Taking this trait to the extreme. Many Pokemon later on will have gender differences. Some of them will even change their appearance based on their gender, like radically. The male Jellicent is blue and looks like the Pringles logo, whereas the female Jellicent looks more like I don't know, more like a space alien. It's got a little crown on its head. But their stats are still the same. They are not different Pokemon. They do not learn different moves, things like that. This is the example of that happening. Um, I assume that the Nidorans are mutant rabbits of some sort. They look like it, but it's really hard to tell. The blue and pink colors for boys and girls being reversed in our modern sensibilities is a nice choice. In case you were unaware, before the 20th century, those colors were switched in our gender display stuff too. So it was boys who received pink parties and pink decorations and stuff, and it was girls who received the blue. That was a recent change to make blue for boys and pink for girls. And here is why I'm not the biggest fan of the Nidoran line. Nidorina compared to Nidorino is pretty disappointing. It's just kind of bigger than Nidoran. It loses its horn too, which was already smaller than the male Nidoran, so it doesn't look as harmful. It's just kind of there. Um, it's it's bigger, but I don't know that it's tougher. It is funny that it's got a little bit of a sassy streak that they show from time to time, like in the Stadium and Coliseum games. And I mention it here, but Danny Sexbang did a funny bit in Game Grumps about that. About Nidorino, which is really the only memorable thing about Nidorino that I can think of whatsoever. I am sorry to say that, though. I hope that TPCI will give Nidorina some love in the future. Now, Nidoqueen, on the other hand, is fantastic. I think this creature looks amazing. I love the tough mutant monster look that was more prevalent with earlier Pokemon designs than it is now. I kind of wish they'd go back to that more often. Um, Her teeth disappear after Generation 1. A couple of Pokemon do that. Lapras's teeth disappear too. Um, it's strange though because Nidoran and Nidorina still have their teeth. They just got rid of Nidoqueens for no reason. I don't understand that. I do think it's pretty funny that Sugimori just kind of took his old watercolor Queen art and flipped it and said, "Ah, make one of the hands sticking out. Yeah, we're done. That's perfect." Um, I do. I do wish Nidoqueen still had the teeth, though. It looks tougher with the teeth. It looks more menacing. I think it helps it out. So the male version of Nidoran is more common in red version, and the female is more common in blue version, or in Japan, red and green. But they can both be found in the same places, just at different encounter rates. Nidoqueen and Nidoking are catchable in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee for the first time. You really can't go wrong with either. They're early encounters. They've got great matchups against many of the gyms. They've got good matchups against Bruno of the Elite Four and Agatha, since she's the ghost type trainer, quote unquote, but she uses poison types. And a poison and ground type Pokemon puts them to work pretty quickly. Uh, the only issue with getting a Nidoqueen or a Nidoking is finding a Moonstone. It can be a hassle if you don't know where to look, but they're not as uncommon as you might think in Mount Moon. Nidoran and her relatives can be found in routes 9, 10, 22, 23, and the Kanto Safari Zone. I think that in Generation 3 in Leaf Green, they're found on Route 4 as well, heading out towards Mount Moon, but I'm not sure about that one, so I didn't write it down. Nidoqueen was used by Gary Oak, just like Nidoking was. He seems to like them both. They are used by a couple of trainers in the anime. There's one in the first movie that uses a Nidoqueen. Uh, and speaking of that one, when it was cloned, and then its clone had children, which Nidoqueen can't normally do in the first place, but when it did, its children were also Nidoqueen, which I don't know. How do you have a baby Nidoqueen? That doesn't even make sense. They're adult Pokemon, whatever. Um, Giovanni, the main villain of the Generation 1 games, as well as the 8th gym leader, uses one, and then uses one in most of his various interpretations that have shown up in different media. Blue, the girl trainer in Pokemon Adventures, uses one as well. Unfortunately, Nidoran and Nidorina don't really have much of an appearance at all, which stinks. But it is what it is. I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10 just because Nidoqueen has been relatively prominent, but the Nidorans in particular, they're just kind of your average pocket monster. There's just not much that they've done with them. I hope that that changes sometime. So Nidoqueen will not be mogged by the mean. It's doing quite well. The decent bulk, nice combination of types, good abilities, and great move pool do a lot of heavy lifting for Nidoqueen. The poison and ground combination gives it a great resistance to poison, bug, rock, fighting, and fairy, while making it immune to electric and the poison status ailment. It has good matchups against fire and steel types due to its good moves and type advantage. Poison Point can be useful against other defensive walls, but Sheer Force, its hidden ability, is incredibly useful as it powers up all moves that don't have secondary effects and makes it immune to the damage from the Life Orb. However, Nidoking does this a little better than Nidoqueen does. Nidoqueen is a little more defensive. Moves like Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Stealth Rock, Toxic, Earthquake, Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Toxic Spikes, and Sludge Wave establish a great profile for Nidoqueen both offensively and defensively. Both of them Nidos are great. I'm going to give Nidoqueen an 8 out of 10 because its best job is being defensive, but it's missing some stuff that would make it a good defensive Pokemon, like a great defensive Pokemon. It has no way to heal outside of rest. It doesn't have a lot of phasing moves so that it can switch things in and out. It has Roar, or at least it did. Who knows anymore? But it could use something a little better, and it needs something to help it get rid of status entries, or I mean, entry hazards, excuse me, on its side of the field. But it's still great. 8 out of 10 for sure. Nidoqueen is going to get a 14 out of 20 after adding its 8 and 6 together. It's not bad at all. It's pretty good, honestly. Unfortunately, the Queen won't be mogging the entire Kanto region, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't use one anyway, because you absolutely should. If you don't have a poison-type Pokemon, or you need something defensive to help your team out while you're doing Kanto stuff, Nidoqueen is one of the best. I think that a Gigantamax or a Megaline for this would be great. They are kind of Pokemon staples, and I think that a greater presence in the series would help them out too. And hey, a regional form that changes its types might do it some wonders too. We'll see. That'd be nice, though. All right, with all of that out of the way, I'm going to close up for the night. Thank you all so much for your time. Let your loved ones know that you love them. Stay safe out there in this crazy world. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.